when you start a podcast, you expect a standard intro and then like, oh, the guest is today, then tell me your whole life story, when actually we just get into the meat and bones of it. And I think, do you listen to Joe Rogan?
Sometimes.
Yeah, and he does a really good job at it. And it's what we try to do, like we're recording now, is that you just start with the conversation
Yeah.
and people learn as you go. And I
Yeah.
think that's really, really important. So, for full disclosure for everyone listening, I've never spoke to Nate before. I've never met Nate before. This is the first conversation we're having, and I think it's fucking brilliant, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm excited. I've only done one other podcast, so just kind of nice to be out there and
yeah.
talk about what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, and I think like for me to get to start, you've obviously been coaching for a long time. But did you play sport in high school, and did you play college sport?
Yep.
And tell me a little bit more about that.
So yeah, I mean, it's really the whole reason I got into this is I in ninth grade, which is the beginning of our high school year. I went to a new private school, and they're like, "Oh, you're big. Well, you're going to play football." I said, "All right," and they said, "Start showing up to the workouts." So I started going to the weight room and doing the sprint workouts and everything.
Yeah.
And then it was, I don't know if I fell in love right away.
Mhm.
I wasn't very strong, so I kind of distanced myself from everybody while I was getting strong.
Yeah, yeah.
But I started to fall in love with the process of training. And then what happened is I transferred to the public school in our town,
Mhm.
and the coach was like, "If you want to keep using the weight room, you need to play a sport." And I was like, "Oh no!" So I had my choice of, I think, wrestling, lacrosse, and track and field.
Yep.
And I chose track and field. I was a thrower,
Nice.
and so that kept me in the weight room. And then so I played football and track and field in high school, and then I was lucky enough to be able to go to college and continue my track and field career.
Amazing.
And I did that. And then after college, I continued in powerlifting and dabbled in strongman and
Yeah.
some of that stuff.
What position did you play in football?
I was a defensive tackle that probably should have been an offensive tackle.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I guess that's, as you say, like playing sport is the gateway drug to strength and conditioning.
Yeah. And for a lot of people it is. And for me, that's, if I was going to play sport, I knew there was always an interest there. I remember my dad had a weight set in the basement, but they wouldn't let me use it because I was too young. They didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So I always had a knack for wanting to do it. But I didn't have a reason or access to it until I played sports. So
yeah. And that's early influence is really important as well. Like I grew up, my dad played soccer to a good level in the UK. Got paid beer money and played in our national trophies, like the low level, but I remember going to watch him play on the weekends, and my dad never lifted weights because culturally it wasn't a thing, but sport was part of our DNA growing up. And so you see the weight set that you're not allowed, and you're like, oh, I want to get some tin. And did your dad play sport around the house?
He was a swimmer in high school.
Yeah.
And then he eventually became a police officer. So I never really saw him active, but he had to stay somewhat fit to be a police officer, especially when he was on the street more.
Yeah. So. Yeah, for sure. And then so I guess you so get to college and you start throwing for college. Like throwing's tough. Like people don't. I'm a massive fan of bondage. So like throwing is I love it. I wouldn't be very good at it, to be quite. I'm not heavy enough. But I like the mindset towards throwing, and how like what were you able to throw? Like how tell me about that part of your career.
So I'll have to say everything in feet because I don't remember all
That's
my
fine.
metric conversions.
Yeah,
So and I was by no means a great thrower, but I enjoyed it, and I was able to compete at the level I was at. But my main event was shot put.
yeah,
Um, so throwing the 16-pound shot put, I was just shy of 50 feet. By the time I finished.
yeah, yeah. Nice.
So it was solid, but
Yeah,
and that was with little coaching.
yeah, yeah,
um, our school had kind of gone through some changes. We had a decathlon coach, so he was busy coaching all the other events, and then occasionally we'd get some with that.
yeah, yeah. It's
I was,
ballet
go ahead.
shot put.
Yep, sure.
Working speed across the circle is so balletic. That's
Yeah.
like my friend's granddad was Daley Thompson's throws coach.
Okay.
So he had that pedigree, and I mean, he's built like a fucking tank. This guy, like the genetics came with
Yeah.
him, um, and he got taught, and he used to just show me the motion, and it was just like these big guys on spinning on a dime. It's
Yeah.
unreal.
I was an awful spinner. I did the glide because I was such a bad spinner.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah,
And that takes me into discus. I didn't throw discus very much because I was a bad spinner.
yeah.
So
Okay, okay.
I think I threw that like 110 feet. My coach is always like, it looks like it's gonna go so far, and then it just goes nowhere.
And and that's a big part of the brain. I talk to a lot of coaches. Obviously, I'm field sport
Yep.
fanatic and speed and stuff, and I'm having more conversations about the way the brain interacts with vision and output and like discus. That's all. It's happening.
Oh yeah, it was happening. That and hammer. Hammer I figured
Yeah,
out a little bit better.
yeah,
I don't know why. Well, maybe because of the foot placement was easier for me.
yeah.
I threw that around 150 feet. Um,
Nice.
so it was all right. And I threw javelin once. They kind of threw me in a meet because I missed the shot put, I think, and they're like, "Well, we'll have you do something." So
Yeah, yeah.
I threw javelin once. I threw it like 100 feet, hurt my elbow, and that was the end of my javelin career.
Well, and
So,
again, like the javelin, and I think it's so underestimated, the specialization of throws,
oh yeah,
because there's so much to do with, and you'd see this with foot, being like a lineman and shot, that glide, the weight distribution and weight transference is so important, isn't it?
yeah. Oh, it
It's
is. It's hugely important, and you've got to learn how to do that. You've got to be able to absorb that force and change direction. And
yeah,
that was actually, looking back on it, that was something I struggled with. And I'm like, now I know how I could have tweaked my lifting to maybe help that some.
yeah, yeah.
Back then, I just was like, that get strong.
Well, that is a great segue into like the type of, because I think our influence in how we are made as coaches will
Yeah.
then influence how we want to train for sport. I'm a big believer in archetypes.
Oh yeah.
So cheetahs won't graze like giraffes, do they? We do what we do because
Yeah.
it's what suits us, right? So um and so for you, like in that early part of your competitive career and the weight room career, what did you find worked for you, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, for me, it was the mentality of going in and just crushing it every day. I
Yeah,
had to have that mentality. Um,
yeah,
the weights came because I had that mentality.
yeah,
So for me, I had to squat heavy.
yeah,
I had to bench press heavy.
yeah,
I was awful at cleaning, but I believed I had to clean heavy. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
deadlifts weren't part of my routine back in college too much.
mm,
Eventually, that did when I got more into powerlifting. But
yeah,
and I had to sprint. It was super basic.
yeah,
Sprint, jump, and lift heavy.
yeah,
But you had to also have the right mentality to kind of switch into that mode where it's like, all right, I'm gonna make this lift, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
It's fucking where this thing's going up,
yeah,
or
yeah.
I'm going down with it.
You really had to kind of set daily goals and know what you were trying to achieve each workout, and
Yeah.
go in and do it.
It's a really interesting trait that I sort of understood about throwers. I had been involved in track and field a bit, and with different groups and stuff, and you just get to watch throwers train. They train very differently.
Yeah,
It's a very solitude
yeah,
um, sport, if that's the right word for it. And but because it's so and I think that's why I guess maybe the mindset of, well, I have to make this lift is the same as I have to make this throw.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I tend to be an introvert anyway, so that
Yeah.
mindset was like it was me against me usually. I didn't really care about anybody else. The only time I cared about anybody else was if it was a meet where I had to hit a minimum distance to get measured, just so I
Yeah.
could up to that
Yeah. Yeah.
be counted. Because being at a small school and a lower level thrower, we'd go
Yeah.
to some of the Power Five conferences and we'd be like, all right, you got to throw 45, 48 feet just to get measured, and I'd be like, all right, I got to get it today.
Here we go. And I think that's a really important lesson there. Like, you're humble in what you're saying. Like, I can only throw this. I can only throw this. But it's all about competition. It's all about being competitive as an individual. And I
Oh
think
yeah,
we rule out competition too early. Like, whatever our expectation is that we have to be all state, or we have to be national champion, or be in the premiership like over here. You'll get your Olympic final.
yeah,
It won't be at the Olympics, or you'll play in your World Cup final, and I won't play in it, but I will still have that game.
yeah,
Do you remember that for you, like your meet that was like your version of the Olympics?
yeah. There was a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would go during indoor. We would go to a Virginia Military Institute.
Uh-huh.
They'd have a meet. They had a good ring, and they'd always bring in really high level throwers.
Yeah.
VMI had a few pretty good ones back then. Um, so I would go, and that would always be my Super Bowl every year. I would PR at that meet almost every year. Um,
Nice.
Outdoor, it was always different.
Yeah.
Because the schedule was a little different. The one I always enjoyed, regardless of where we were at, we'd always go on a trip on our spring break for a track meet.
Yeah.
So, one time I went to Florida State, and one time I went to the Disney Relays. So those were always big meets. So I
Yeah.
always knew those were going to be the ones where I had to show
Yeah.
out a little bit.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
I love that. I love that. And those memories stay with you as well, don't they? Like,
yeah,
they're not.
oh yeah, they do, and they're some of my favorite things. And
Yeah.
the conference championships were okay, but it was all schools that were mediocre, really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I enjoyed going to those big meets because I almost always threw a personal best, and it was a whole lot of fun.
It's the occasion. It's That's beautiful. In the UK, a lot of coaches, strength coaches and stuff, will give up their own sport to coach
Yeah,
too soon. And like in the UK, you can play like amateur sport. Like, you can play sport until you're 80 if you really want to,
yeah,
because I'm not sure if you're aware, we're not too reliant on like the university system to
yeah,
provide our professional players.
yeah,
These guys in football, you could get picked up at 9 years old, for example.
yeah.
Right? You've got like 13-year-olds signing contracts for like $5,000 a week. But you can also be someone like myself who's 37 and play in like the fourth division of the country in rugby.
Yeah.
So you can still play. And I don't know what it's like in America, how much, like, is there that trade-off? Because I see coaches lose so much nuance about being a competitor
Yeah.
to just coach, but you need that nuance.
I know.
To Do you know
It's
what I'm
actually
saying?
something I would tell all my interns. I'm like, first of all, I'm like, if you want to learn how to train, just compete in something. So
Yeah.
you can train yourself and learn how to train towards a goal.
Yes.
I said, you'll never understand it unless you actually go through that process. I said, I don't
Yeah.
care if it's running a 5K or powerlifting or weightlifting.
Yeah.
But yeah, here in the United States, after college, it becomes real hard. You're expected
Yeah.
to go to work and do your job.
Mm.
There's beer leagues out there that you can get involved with.
They're called beer leagues.
Yeah, because a lot of them are sponsored by bars and whatnot and restaurants.
Amazing. Yeah,
So you
yeah,
go join this team and you go play on a Saturday.
yeah,
They're not real competitive, but so it's mostly recreational. Not a lot of organized stuff for adults.
yeah,
Uh, so that's why I went into powerlifting is because it was somewhat organized, and
yeah,
it was my knack anyway. I like training for strength, so it was easy. I didn't have to do a sport practice and a lifting
yeah,
session. So,
yeah, yeah,
but yeah, I think it's real important for people to compete so they understand that the process that they're trying to put their athletes through.
yeah. And I 100%. It reminds me when I was at the last professional club, we had a, an intern in, and he was big into Gaelic football. He played Gaelic football, and they're like they cover ground. Their pitch is almost like 120 meters long.
Okay, that's
It's
pretty long.
massive. It's
Yeah,
like Aussie. Have you seen Aussie rules before?
I've
Australian rules?
seen that on TV, yeah, but not
Yeah,
in
so they
person.
play on like a cricket oval. So it's huge. It's very similar. And he would be pro like middle distance running for fitness. And he
Yeah.
came in and he was like, I was like, well, you need to learn to write a weights program. We need to develop your outputs as well, not just your operationals. And I was like, write a program and go through it. And he lasted 3 days because you can't mix your medicine, as you know, and it's a
Yeah,
huge learning curve, isn't it?
it is. I mean, I found myself learning. I mean, I was in for almost 20 years before stuff happened, and I was still learning. You know,
Yep.
because we'd get new sports or a coach with a different mentality or training process.
Yeah.
So I was always learning. A little bit about the sport or a little bit about coaches, and like I had to just figure all that out. And
Mm,
the biggest transition was when I took over football because it was a contact sport.
yeah.
Um, and I had always, at that point, I had only trained like golf and tennis and basketball and non contact athletes. And I'm like, oh, I mean, I knew strength, but I didn't understand the contact part of it, you know, just because I had followed directions as an athlete.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to pay attention to some other stuff now.
And what did because I'm quite involved in lots of contact sport, and the some of my shifts have over the years is how detrimental gym loading can be in season to players. And what were the first realizations from a lens, no contact, then into contact, like what's going through your head there as a coach? I see you laughing, like.
um, I just remember the first in season that I had with football. I
Yeah,
had created this great workout. I thought it was great at least.
yeah,
And our first group was like 7 a.m. on a Monday. I put them through the session, and I'm sitting there like this workout took an hour and a half,
yeah,
and I'm like, I'm. It wasn't the athletes. I'm like, I knew that couldn't happen, so
yeah,
I had to run back to my office, which was down the hall, change the
yeah,
workout. I just threw together something. And I'm like, all right, this is gonna have to do, and
yeah,
lowered it down so they could get done in like 45 minutes to an hour,
yeah,
um, and it was alternating, but they made it through the season.
yeah.
And eventually, I had to start looking into some of the other stuff. So Dan Baker was actually a big influence on me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I was looking at a lot of his rugby stuff.
Yes.
So I started creating some programs based on his stuff and things
Mm,
that I was doing too, which really helped our in season. I felt our
yeah,
coach didn't like it because he wanted me to kill everybody every session, but
yeah,
when a kid can get out in 30, 40 minutes, feel good, have a good practice,
yeah,
um, come back and do it again the next day or in 2 days or whatever it was, then
yeah.
I felt like I did my job well.
Yeah, that's awesome because I think what team sports forget, because there's lots of influence from the, I call them like the Mount Rushmore, like like the Eastern Bloc kind of guys, Verkhoshansky, Bondarchuk, and all those counterparts. But there's lots of influence from track and field
Oh yeah.
into to team sports and field sports. But what is often missed is that the the in track and field, your off season is very different to your in season on what you
Yeah.
do. And they never sort of, a lot of field sport coaches never understand that actually, as a track athlete in season, you're not lifting that much at all.
Yeah. No.
But they try to use, those methodologies in season
Yep.
with players. And I think what's a great term is like kids bounce till they don't. So you're just sucking all that energy out of
Yeah.
these kids. And you said something just before we got off on air, which is a real important part of our conversation today, I feel. And you were in Buffalo for 12 years, was it 12 years?
Yeah.
I
I've
think
been there for 12 years now.
and you said you're a strength coach without a strength job now. I
Yes.
thought it was brilliant. Could you explain, because hopefully lots of listeners, can you tell me a little bit about that and what's
Yeah.
been going on there? Because it's a
So,
really important topic.
so right after the pandemic, um, our school had lost a huge amount of population, and
Hmm.
that meant revenue was way down.
Yeah.
Um, so our school was having a lot of financial issues. We got a new boss in, and they decided to come in and add teams, take away teams, move people around. There was other stuff going on there too, but ultimately, I was one of the people that got moved.
Yeah.
And they said, "We need you more over here doing fitness or not fitness, doing facilities and equipment and stuff like that."
Hmm.
So I didn't have much of a choice because I've got a family to take care of, and
Yeah.
can't just go unemployed. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I that was about 2 years ago. So I've been doing that,
Hmm.
trying to figure out how to stay in the strength field. In
Yeah.
America, you typically have to go where the jobs are, and my
Yeah.
family's like, I don't want to move. you
Yeah.
know, especially for mediocre pay. Um,
Yes.
so there's a lot of schools here in Buffalo, but that's a matter of waiting for the jobs to open up,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and hoping that you're one of the ones they pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of private gyms here, but they typically are one man shows.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them hire other 20-year vets. They're like, hey, I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm going to hire that high school kid to
Yeah.
help me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm kind of trying to figure out how to do this, do strength and conditioning, um, either moving into something kind of similar. Um, I got my teaching certification, so I can go into the high school setting or the school setting. But I just did finish that a few weeks ago or a few months ago, so I'm waiting for those jobs to open up since it's the
Yeah.
middle of the school year. I've been trying to get other certifications to make myself more marketable in the area because we live in an area, because there's so many colleges. There's a lot of physical therapists. There's a lot of athletic trainers, and they all think they know how to do strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
So the business models are set up around them typically,
Yeah.
and not really a strength conditioning model. So
Yeah. That's challenging. That's tough. And that's
it,
that's the real world as well, isn't it?
it
Everyone
is.
thinks all you have to do is go to college and then the giants will take you.
Yeah.
And I mean, my story, I was working as a personal trainer and doing because I was watching like Zach Evernesh on YouTube in 2009 and stuff like that, like back in the day. And I was like, I just want to train athletes. I didn't even know that you could do it for teams.
Yeah.
Um, and so at that, I really resonate with that. It's like, how do we find the way to do this? And then I got fired in 2018 from after a few things, and
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'll just go back to just trying to work with athletes
Yeah.
on my own.
Yeah.
And that medical model is everywhere because historically, medicine,
Yeah.
people understand the pain of what it feels like to not being able to do what they do,
Yeah.
but they don't understand the pain. It goes back to our mindset of, well, how do I get better?
Yeah.
This hurts me that I'm not as good as I should be.
So, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know I'm 45, so I'm feeling the aging part of that. And like, how can I get myself younger again?
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Oh man. So you've got, you said you got a family, you got wife, kids, and
yep,
stuff
I
like
got
that.
wife and two kids, and my daughter's got type 1 diabetes, so I've got really good health insurance. So I got to
Yeah,
take care of her, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
a big one. And
yeah.
just not
Are
being
they
able
in
to move
high
around.
school or
My
college?
daughter's in high school. The son is still in elementary.
Okay,
Um,
amazing.
he's there was a big gap between them, so
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was what one night on holiday.
yeah,
The the so and again, just for everyone to understand, and I really set this message home, when you have a family, you put them first.
yeah,
Um, lots of I remember I actually went to the States in 2013, just before Altis became Altis. It was something else before, and we did a little road trip, me and my mate, and I met 20, it was something like 21, 22 strength coaches from America, and it was only like two of them were still married, and it was because what they did is they just traveled, they
yeah,
went where the job was, and they chose the job over
yeah.
family, and you can see that they hurt them when they would talk about it. You could see
Yeah,
it's like,
I met with one of the local pro guys.
yeah,
Him and his wife decided not to have kids or pets because he's with a professional hockey team. He's
yeah,
traveling 6 months out of the year, and I think for her job she traveled too.
yeah.
So they're like, yeah, we're not going to have family. You know,
Wow. And like each to their own,
yeah,
each to their own. And I think I realized when I got let go, I got let go in 2018 from the last club because I said that someone waiting for shoulder surgery shouldn't do like gains-based conditioning.
yeah,
I was like, that's not sensible. And then I got fired.
yeah,
Um, but then what you realize is that within a day, you're nobody.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that was, even though I worked at the same place, that it kind of made it harder because I went from being the guy that they talk to all the time to the guy that does their laundry. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
some of the kids were like, "Hey, when are you coming back?" And but most of the coaches have either moved on or
yeah.
just accept my new role, and not a
COVID, COVID was a killer, wasn't it?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was yeah, it was not a great thing. Here in New York, we were shut down for five
Mhm.
months,
Yeah.
um, and then yeah, it really messed with the colleges, and we were already kind of rocky as it was, and it
Mhm.
really kind of destroyed our college. We're still trying to recover from it.
Yeah, and that's such a shame. And it's a really, it's an important story. And like, the thing that I get from you is that, it's about, you take these things in your stride and you still want to get better, you still improve, where you get, that knockdown, get back up mentality. That's that mentality you get from training.
Yeah, yeah, and
It's
that's where I'm at. I'm just trying to, just like when you're in the weight room and you have to figure out how am I going to get to this new max. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm sitting here like, all right, I got two new certifications, well, three if you count my teaching certification. I'm just trying to figure out how can I do what I'm good at and what I'm passionate about here in
yeah,
Buffalo,
yeah,
uh, because I know there's a need. Um,
yeah.
just a
Jim
matter of,
Windsor went back to high school, hasn't he? Did you?
I haven't
He's
followed him in a while. I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, he's
I
coaching
don't
high
know.
school.
I don't know if you ever read. There's a book called The System out there, and it
Yeah.
was two NFL strength coaches,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
they had 6 Super Bowls between the two of them, and they ended their careers in high school.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I think it's beautiful there, because at some point it's like, if you say you've worked one NFL job
Yeah,
and you go to another NFL team, it's the same thing. And
yeah,
with or without you, they would be there.
yeah, yeah,
And I think at some point, maybe a maturity thing, but at some point it's about, well, how do I help people not make the mistakes I did, or how can I take this and feed it forward? I
Yeah.
think coaches are born with a desire to help.
Oh yeah, I agree. That's why part of the reason I'm in the field. you know.
Yeah, yeah. And I get, what certifications did you get recently?
So I got the corrective exercise specialist
Yeah,
uh,
nice.
through NASM.
Yeah,
I didn't realize I already had that framework from some other stuff I had done, but
yeah,
now I have the official certification. And then I went to Precision Nutrition and I got their sleep recovery certification,
yeah. Nice.
wellness certification. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I got my phys ed teaching certification.
Sick.
So
High school PE on the
yeah,
horizon. Is that what we're looking at?
that's what I'm looking towards. And then a lot of the schools around here have nice gyms, so I'd be able to do the strength conditioning thing, either as part of PE or extra. I'm not sure how they do it around here, but
Yeah,
I'd be able to do it though.
yeah. That's awesome. That's so cool. That's a
Yeah,
good story, and it really should speak to, so there'll be a lot of like younger coaches listening to
yeah.
this,
Well, that's
and
it's stuff I would always tell my interns, and now that I'm in a position and I'm not 20 anymore,
yeah,
like they are, I'm like, all right, what I said is true. It's just now you got to figure out, plan B for when you have a
yes,
family.
yeah, without a doubt, and maintain. I think, and maintain a certain quality of life as well, because
Yeah,
there's only so much. There's only so much you can give up until you give up parts of yourself.
yeah, yeah.
You
That
know,
makes sense.
I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in that. So I tell you what, I think I've literally, that's probably all the time we've got for today. But I think if anyone can reach out, if they want to, just bounce ideas off with you or anything like that, what's the best place to get hold of you, Nate?
I am pretty active, or I lurk on Facebook and LinkedIn a lot. I'm
Yeah.
also on Instagram. So any of those three places, you can DM me, and if you want to chat and whatever,
Mhm.
I'll usually check one of those messages. Usually a couple
Amazing.
times during the week.
Amazing. Because I think, I listen to Ed Milet's podcast quite a lot. It's really good. And he said something the other day which really spoke to me. He was like, the perceived perfection of people is not what unites us, it's our imperfections that do. And stories like yours should be told, and I just want to thank you for making the time to come on today.
No problem. I'm hoping this helps somebody out there.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. And I'll tell you what, we'll book in a part two just to see what's been going on at some point. All
All
right,
right, awesome, man.
cool.
Nice.